So guys, so I guess next up for this collection series, I guess we'll call it, is my replica of Brian Kinwald's 93 Worlds winner. Started off with a Worlds re-release kit, which technically isn't correct because it has a milled chassis and he had just a standard chassis on his, but I had already done the mods and stuff to the chassis and didn't want to do another one once I got one. So I was like, yeah, that's good enough. I'm going to run it anyway. So it's a Proline Mirage SS body. It's supposed to have the scoop, but at the time nobody had them, so is what it is. So this is kind of another one of my like modern replicas. It says modern electronics of the vintage ones that were in the car. Once I pop the body off, I'll show you guys that. This is mostly Larry Genova did the body. Custom RC graphics. Most of the stickers, I believe, are MCI. Brad Ross made the number plates for me on this one too. He pretty much any of my like race replica cars, if it needed some kind of a special number plate, Brad pretty much hooked me up. Let me get the body off here. All right. Let's kind of go over what's what on this. So I studied, well, Cedric, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Delivers from France. If you're in the vintage community, you know who Cedric is. So he did a real faithful replica of one. So, and there's a lot of pictures of Brian's car out there too, so that really helps when it comes to wanting to do a replica. So with this one, obviously, because of it being a re-release and I wasn't going for an exact replica, you know, it has the re-release threaded shocks and stuff like that. And like I said, it has the mill chassis instead of it, you know, having a plain one. So there are some differences on this, but I try to do as much as I could with it, with the chassis mods and whatever. So I'll just kind of hit some of the specialty, you know, kind of stuff that Brian did to his car that I used on this, basically. So you look at all the pictures and stuff. You know, I had the angle cut on the motor plate, on the nose plate, countersunk screws. I used the outer hinge pins as king pins. Some, oops. Set screws holding the hinge pins in. I didn't trust it, so I put an E-clip on the outside at least. The body mounts, Joe Scavarozzi whipped up for me. The turnbuckles are AE to kind of mimic the RCPS ones, or they might have been Lunds. I think they were RCPS, but to kind of mimic those. I believe he had the composite craft steering belt crank. This one has the re-release that I dyed black. And the shock towers, this is a woven carbon fiber one. The rear is the iridium and custom motor plate, or battery hold down, sorry. And trans brace. Cedric hooked me up big time and sent me the files to have those cut for this. So that was awesome of him to do that. I actually made a couple sets. I think there's 10 complete sets. I think I called them the 93 Worlds kit, or, you know, whatever I call it, to actually make a kind of a help somebody make an authentic replica. So that was awesome of Cedric to do that. Excuse me. So kind of going along with the modern replica thing, as with other ones, I did modern versions of the manufacturer electronics that he used in his car. I'm not exactly sure which servo he used, but I know it was Airtronics. He had an M1C, or Novak M1C. This is Novak, which one was this? Pulse, yeah, Novak Pulse V2. So I took the heat sink out, had it anodized blue, and then, good Lord, outside, what are you gonna do? And then Joe milled the fins off for me to kind of mimic his heat sinks on his speed control. And he ran the Novak NER 3FM. So I used a orange RX receiver to, for color, basically. As in the Iridium Tower, not really in the sun, so it's not sparkling, but it does like a rainbow effect. And trim sides down a little bit, nothing major. Another thing Brian did is, if you look at a, there, right here, where it usually has the step up, and then it curves it, has like a 90 degree radius there. You kind of angle cut that, got rid of that, countersunk those screws. And on the back, see the body mount in the back. And the rear arms, you actually shaved the rear arms so they were flush. I don't have a mill, so I took one of my Dremel cutoff wheels and chucked it up in my drill press, and then raised the deck on a drill press, and then just moved the arm around on it to cut it all down, and then just put it on a sanding block. And he cut these notches on the bottoms of the arms there too. So 17.5 RDS plus. Let's see the alterations on the rear bulkhead there. I guess at the, Brad Rouse was telling me, I guess at the race, when I was building it, he asked if I was gonna bend the chassis up in the back, and I didn't really know exactly what he was talking about. And I might be kind of misremembering the story quite right, but I guess at the Worlds, the track was kind of rough, and I don't know if the chassis was, some of the jumps on landing, it was kind of upsetting the cars, so they went around and, like right behind the arm mount here, bent the chassis up, kind of like a, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to focus it, but kind of like a B2 and B3 chassis plate is. And then they drilled the hole up higher on the motor plate. You can probably see it better here. See how much closer the chassis is to the motor plate there in the radius. So yeah, and the milled motor plate and the gear cover, because they were running hydro drives and stuff, and had the clear gear cover, since this has the B4 top shaft with the V2 clutch and everything. Top shaft's longer, so one of the guys on RC10 Talk, he has a small vacuum form machine, and he had some gear cover molds, and I asked him if he'd be able to extend his gear cover mold so that it would fit the B4 top shaft. So that's what he came up with. So I got the clear gear cover, and it was tall enough to pass the top shaft. Flip it over. There's a chassis protector on it so it didn't get beat up too bad. Yeah. And the fiberglass battery hold down is just like what Brian's was. So I ran this at the 2019 Vintage Off-Road Nats. Brian had passed away earlier that year, and I already had the car kind of in the works. And so I was like, yeah, once he passed, I was like, yeah, I think this year would be a good year to run it. So that's what I kind of hustled to get it done. There's those stickers that Jason Rona had made up. So I started off with the dirt webs at the race, and I think I didn't, at that time I was just kind of getting back into racing. I didn't really have a whole lot of stuff really for racing, especially off-road stuff, modern tires and all that kind of stuff. So I really just had these, which I thought were going to work at the track, and they did, but it just turned out the slicks were faster, so I ended up running a set of primes on it that were on my kids' World's re-release. But they had yellow wheels on it, so I didn't leave them with the car, because you know, he had white ones. So I think that's about it. I can't really think of anything else. But yeah. Oh, I remember. It was kind of funny. So I qualified 8th in the A with it. And I didn't really think about it later, but Brad said something to me. I think it was after the race. He's like, hey, you qualified 8th. So, that was kind of funny. So I think I finished 7th. It kind of seems like once I can get like a good enough run to get in the A, but once I'm in there, it's like, or I kind of stay where I'm at. But I'm starting to get slightly better with that. So yeah, I think that's about it for this one. I'll add some of Brian's real car at the end of the video. So thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.